the time. Destruction of minds, bodies, and human rights. Stripped of bloodlines, whipped and confined. This is the American pride. It's justifying a genocide, romanticizing the theft and bloodshed that made America the land of the free. To take a black life, land of the free, to bring a gun to a peaceful fight for civil rights. You are desensitized to pulling triggers on innocent lives because that's how we got here in the first place. These wounds sink deeper than the bullet your entitled hands could ever reach. Generations and generations of pain, fear, and anxiety. Equality is walking without intuition, saying the protector and the killer is wearing the same uniform. The revolution is not televised. Media perception is forced down the throats of closed minds, so it's lies in the headlines and generations of supremacy resulting in your ignorant, privileged eyes. We breathe the same and we bleed the same, but still we don't see the same. Be thankful we are God-fearing because we do not seek revenge, we seek justice. We are past fear, we are fed up eating your shit because you think your so-called black friend validates your wokeness and erases your racism. That kind of uncomfortable conversation is too hard for your trust fund pockets to swallow. To swallow the strange fruit hanging from my family tree because of your audacity to say all men are created equal in the eyes of God, but disparage a man based on the color of his skin. Do not say you do not see color. When you see us, we can't breathe.
What's going on, everybody? This is Tone Kapone, and you guys may know me as the host of Waves of the Bay on 88.5 out here in Tampa, Florida on Saturday nights along with DJ Spaceship. You guys might also know me as the host of Ignite the Night out here in Tampa Bay as well. It's been going on for about 6 years now. It's a performance-based series for artists and producers and spoken word artists and things of that nature. But one thing I wanted to do, especially with Juneteenth coming around right now and everything that's going on in the world right now, especially in the United States when it comes to race, I want to use my platform or my platforms or our platforms, however you want to look at it, for something meaningful. And I just want to make sure that, I leave some type of imprint when it's all said and done. So I can easily do whatever. I can do some type of show that doesn't have any type of weight to it, any type of substance to it. But I prefer to actually put something out that's going to stick, something that's going to carry weight and last and be timeless pretty much. So what we're doing today is a tribute, not necessarily a tribute, but it's going to be just more like an informational, let's call it, as far as just race and how we approach things and some of the things that we've been through. And as you can see from the intro, this isn't anything new. What's crazy, man, I included part of the Black Lives Matter Cypher that we did for our spoken word virtual event that we did back in May. And when we did that, it was right after Ahmaud, but right before George Floyd. So once we recorded it, by the time it came out, everything happened with George Floyd, everything happened with Breonna Taylor. And since we recorded the Cypher for Black Lives Matter, it's just been one after the other. And it's not anything new. It's just more visible now, I'll call it. And a lot of that is because we have cameras everywhere you look. Digital age is upon us. I can take the video from my phone, upload it, and it's all around the world in a matter of seconds. So people that think that racism is just more alive right now, don't fool yourselves, man. It's just more prevalent. It's always been in the background. It's always been subtle underneath the radar, but it's always been there. There's no change about that. And I say that as somebody who's been discriminated against, a good portion of my life. I'm from the middle of Kansas, and I'm from a military town. So thankfully my town has a good mixture of races and, a good variety, and everybody tends to get along for the most part. Now there are a few, escalations. There's a few situations that go down, but it is what it is. But, I'm blessed to have grown up in Junction City, Kansas, because, I grew up with good white people and they grew up with good black people, and we all got along. It was a community, and you could tell that it was a community. But as soon as we left town, and I'm driving around in Manhattan or Salina or Abilene or pick a city, in Kansas, I'm always being followed. As soon as we pull in town, they're gonna follow us. And it was like that so much that it's just like second nature. It's like, all right, we're pulling into Manhattan. Everybody, do the speed limit, make sure everything's good, because if anything happens, the cops are gonna pull us over. And when I moved to Kansas City, the first time I had a gun drawn on me was when I was 14, and I was going to school at my high school, and it was like senior prank, or it was some type of prank thing. And whoever I was with had a carton of eggs in their car, and they thought that we were trying to egg somebody, when it wasn't the case at all. Like, they just happened to have some eggs. We had to stop somewhere on the way home to drop some stuff off. But man, it's like 4 of us in the car. We get pulled over right across the street from the school, guns drawn, all that stuff. And it's just like, it doesn't need to be like that. It doesn't need to be like that. No. And I know any person, especially any male of color, these words that I'm talking are true. I know you guys have been through this, or else if not, then you've been very close to it, or you've been, doing something that is the same as what another person might get killed of. Like, you would never think you would get shot out for a jog. You would never think that you would get shot and killed when you're at home on your own couch, relaxing. It's stuff like that, man. It makes zero sense at all. And I hear a lot of people, talking about the situation in Atlanta that just went down. And the whole point of the matter is, man, it doesn't matter if he did happen to take a taser. It's not a gun, and he's already been frisked, so they knew he didn't have any guns on him. So the fact that you're willing to shoot a man in the back for shooting a taser at you, there's something else that could have been done. And there's always something else that could have been done in these situations. And I understand how everybody's sick and tired of just waiting for things to change, man. And, white people out there, like, I don't want to say that you guys are blind to the situation, but you're just not in the situation as deep as we are. And you got to understand that, stuff I'm talking about right now, it's like second nature to me. Like, I don't even think twice about it. It's been ingrained in my head for generations now. It's not even me. You can ask my uncle, you can ask my grandpa, you can ask different age groups of minorities, and they're all going to have some type of story to tell you that's similar to what we're talking about right now. When I was a junior in college, the St. Louis police, Maryland Heights to be exact, took me behind a building, 4 cops had me handcuffed, and they whooped my ass. I'm going to talk more about that during the Black Lives Matter Cypher that we have at the end of this event right here. But it's real, man. Like, it's very real. It's very real. I got pulled over the other day, and for driving my wife's car, we didn't have the sticker on there for the registration, even though it was registered. Nothing happened, but I was so nervous that something was going to happen, just because you never know anymore. And we're just driving. I got the family with me. I'm nervous. It shouldn't have to be like that, but it's like that. And anybody out there can see us like that, man. When it comes down to discrimination, we have it all the way around. Like they said, systemic racism, it's ingrained. It really is. It's nothing new. Hopefully we can change some things. And I want to commend the youth out there right now, because you guys are really leading the way, for what you guys are doing. You guys are being vocal, you're being peaceful, and you're being visible. So we can see it all, we can hear it all. And I just want to commend you guys for what you're doing, give you kudos, and just keep on, man. Keep carrying the fight, because it's your fight as well. Like, it's all of us together, for real. Like, we're all in this together, like they said. And amidst all this, we have the pandemic with the the COVID-19, which seems to be attacking minorities more than anybody right now. And it's not hard to see how, life is crazy right now. It's getting crazier by the minute. And that's why, like I said, I want to use my platform for good. So when it comes to things of race, it's just, there's no easy way to talk about it. There's no way around it. Like, you just have to actually go through it. And one thing I'm grateful for, growing up in Junction City, Kansas, Juneteenth is huge out there. Huge, like bigger than anywhere else I've been at, honestly. Like, they don't really celebrate it or appreciate it like that out here in Tampa. that I've witnessed, because it's that big in Kansas. You know, right by where I'm at, like I said, we're from a military base, but Buffalo soldiers served and lived out there. And we're like 50-50, you know, black, white, really split down the middle. Like, we're in that piece, you know what I'm saying? So Juneteenth, man, at the park, I've got to shout out Auntie Pearl. Pearl used to always put these events together to highlight, you know, our culture. Dr. Ruby, Miss Ruby Stevens, rest in peace. You guys paved the way. You guys made a way. You guys showed us the way, and showed us that we came from kings and queens. Let me put it like that. You know, we're more than our situation. We're bigger than our environment. And like I said, I had that embedded in me for the longest. When I was I gotta be 8th grade, 7th grade, there was a poetry not a poetry contest, there was an essay contest, and I ended up winning it. And what I wrote about was Frederick Douglass. And I wrote about the life of Frederick Douglass and what he stood for. This is back in 8th grade, man. This is back in 8th grade. But there's stuff that you don't know unless you actually go searching for it, like the Black Wall Street. You know, you'll never know stuff unless you go searching for it, because we're not the ones that write these books. So if you're really looking for knowledge and looking, you know, for knowledge itself, just get out there. Just get out there and look, research. Don't believe everything you read, but don't discredit things you read at the same time. It may be true. I'm off my soapbox right now, man. This is Waves of the Bay, Ignite the Night, just a collaboration. I gotta shout out Poetry Is on 88.5. Shout out my co-host D-Rod, because we got into a very, very, very good conversation with fellow fathers. What we were doing is a Father's Day panel, which will be dropping tomorrow, actually, on Father's Day. But one of the off topics we talked about was just race in America as a father, you know, as a leader of their family, things like that. And it was very unscripted, but it's very, very real, very raw, very uncut. So I cleaned up the language just a little bit, because we're going to be airing this on the radio, you know, Waves of the Bay, like I said, Saturday nights from 10 to 12 out here in Tampa. www.tone-capone.com. You guys can see it right down there. Just hit the webpage up, whatever you guys want. If you guys want to check out the Ignite the Night virtual events, like I said, we have the Father's Day event that's going to be dropping on Sunday. Hit the Ignite the Night logo. You guys want to know more about my DJ, the amazing DJ Spaceship, hit the DJ Spaceship logo. And then you also got the Waves of the Bay logo, where you can see all the interviews. We just finished interviewing Big Gip, and we like to touch on topics that are close to the heart, man. Like, for real. This one right here means a whole lot to me, as you guys can see. This is all unscripted at the same time, but I got to make sure you guys understand my story, where I'm coming from. I do explain more, you know, later on in this event. So what I have planned for Black Lives Matter, I do have a few of my artist friends from out here in Tampa Bay that have songs relating to the matter that I feel like it's necessary to have them do work. So with that being said, before we get into anything else, I want to go ahead and introduce my brother Shadcore with this track right here, man, Knee Off My Neck.
Please, I can't breathe. Please, man. Please, somebody help me.
Get up, get in the car.
Mama.
Get up and get in the car right.
I can't.
You can't y'all have to do it to get in, bro. I told you can't win.
My knee.
You can't win, man.
I'm through.
Gonna fly, streets are gonna burn, boots are gonna march until you people learn that Black lives do indeed matter. You gotta switch it like Oliver. If you come for one, you come for all of us. I don't wanna hear about no bad apples, G. We taking a chainsaw to your whole apple tree. Run, chop it down. Start over from scratch. Get a whole nother path. You're so unattached to the black community, yet you wanna police us. No relationship, just weak authority seekers. Is this payback for the times you got beat up underneath the bleachers when you ran and told a teacher? This ain't the old days. Rethink your ways. Nowadays, These kids set precincts ablaze. How many unarmed black bodies have to stack up before these killer cops are forced to clean their act up? And some of your opinions reek of white privilege. It's poison like Ronnie DeVoe and Mike Bivens. I don't care to listen any further if you were vocal about the riots but quiet about the murder. The black man is inevitable. In our skin there's a pride you can never remove. So if Kaepernick's kneeling offends you more than Derek Chauvin, just know your racism isn't hitting, it's very open. Get your knee on my neck, mama, I can't breathe. Get your knee on my neck, no justice, no peace. Get your knee on my neck, somebody help me please. I can't breathe, have mercy on me. Get your knee on my neck, mama, I can't breathe. Get your knee on my neck, no justice, no peace. Get your knee on my neck, somebody help me please. Get your filthy racist dirty knee off my neck. I find it very ironic how you see me as the threat. Man, this country has yet to show my people respect. Superior complex trying to keep us in check. Tell me what part of I can't breathe don't you get? You need more than tear gas and rubber bullets to stop us. How many iPhones has raw footage of coppers murdering black people? Too many to count them. I got the kind of faith that can move plenty of mountains, but it's hard to believe and keep that optimism when you know we got two different justice systems. Our ancestors only had a wish and a prayer to imagine a world that was different from theirs. Now I see a sea of multicolored fists in the air, saying this is where it stops, no more killer cops. All lives matter, really that's what you uttered? Tell it to Breonna, George, Eric, and all the others. Get your knee on my neck, mama, I can't breathe. Get your knee on my neck, no justice, no peace. Get your knee on my neck, somebody help me please. I can't breathe, have mercy on me. Get your knee on my neck, mama, I can't breathe. Get your knee on my neck, no justice, no peace. Get your knee on my neck, somebody help me please. Get your filthy racist dirty knee off my neck.
George Floyd's story has been the story of black folks, because ever since 401 years ago, the reason we could never be who we wanted and dreamed of being is you kept your knee on our neck. We were smarter than the underfunded schools you put us in, but you had your knee on our neck. What happened to Floyd happens every day in this country, in education, in health services, and in every area of American life. It's time for us to stand up in George's name and say, get your knee off our necks.
Get your knee on my neck, mama, I can't breathe. Get your knee on my neck, no justice, no peace. Get your knee on my neck, somebody help me please. I can't breathe, have mercy on me. Get your knee on my neck, mama, I can't breathe. Get your knee on my neck, no justice, no peace. Get your knee on my neck, somebody help me please. Get your filthy racist dirty knee off my neck.
As you can tell, this is really real. And it's not like this just in Tampa Bay. It's not like that in St. Pete. It's like this across the country. Like, everybody's standing up right now. Everybody's making sure that their voices are heard right now and just recognizing discrimination. We're sick of it, man. We're tired of having this like this. Like, can you reimagine a world where there wasn't racism, or we weren't looked at as a minority, or we're looked at as less than, and we were all just equal? I wish, man. I wish. Like I said, what we did, we had a Father's Day panel, and we just had a random discussion amongst us fathers about, you know, living in America right now with the racial climate, being fathers and leaders of our family, and just getting by and surviving. So I want to go ahead and shout out my co-host, D-Rod, the poet from Poetry Is. And as you can see, you know, we had a very detailed conversation. So here we go.
So we've all watched, you know what I'm saying, basically the same situation happen time and time again. Basically from Rodney King till now, as far as things being put on video and televised. But, you know, it's definitely seeming like this time around, there's a different energy behind it. And it's definitely moving towards some type of social change. I'm just hoping that it's going to be real this time. Yeah. You know, it's really going to affect some change. Whereas we're not worrying so much about defunding police, but maybe just like swapping them out, man. Getting new people, new bodies in there.
So what you think about what happened in Minnesota when they pretty much wiped away the whole station? Everybody's gone. As they say, everybody's gone. Start from scratch.
I think that that's a good idea, but I also think that we need to be aware when they let us do something, but allow us to think that we're doing it ourselves. And by that, what I mean is, if the police department would have got burned down with all of their stuff in it, that would be something to me. But the fact that they was able to take out their weapons and important files and stuff out of it, this says to me that they pretty much planned on the building being sacrificed.
Or there's some sort of protocol when you have a riot of that magnitude where they're like, okay, protocol says let's get these important things out of here and then see what happens afterwards. And not as much as, okay, this is all planned strategically, so let's get these guns out of here a week in advance because we know what's going to happen regardless. Maybe some sort of protocol that they actually got from the jump.
Maybe, man, but I think we're still playing checkers as far as being reactionary, while they're still playing chess. And just the fact that we have video now out where it was a police officer who actually started the riots as far as property destruction, you know what I'm saying, and then let the people take off with it. This makes me, wonder as far as what it is that they're trying to get done.
Yeah, I've seen that a few times too.
Yeah. What a lot of people don't know is after the civil rights movements, like with the effectiveness of the marches, what the government started doing was essentially paying people to become disruptive because it does two things. The first thing is that it discredits the people who organized the march, and it also gives validation for the police to use force against the protesters. So like that, you're essentially seeing the same thing. So when people talk about, the protesters became violent, most of the time those people are plants, and they do it, and they've been doing it for years for that exact purpose. But I'm one of those people is like, I'm getting to that age where it's like, we've been down this road before, and it's like, I believe it when I see it. Right. But I think we had an interesting place in history where you got a lot of changing of the guards happening, where you got the Gen Z, and you got those the young people now where it's just like, look, we tired of it, we ain't with it. But then you also got, even from a lot of white people that'll come up and it's like, they recognize the economic impact that Black people have. You know what I'm saying? So even with all the big business apologizing and all the statements and all of that, I definitely know it's not because they care. I know it's because they care about our money and where our money is going. And they understand what happens if we do recognize that, dog, if we pull our sons and daughters out of these D1 schools, if we start putting our money in Black banks, if we really start, influencing the economy and like having our own, that's where the real power is. So, it's definitely, it's moving the needle, but I think we got to understand like why the needle is moving. Like they just ain't the needle just ain't moving just because their heart is changing. It's changing because the needle is moving because of what we're doing, and they recognize our value.
Right.
So,
well, but we also have the lesson of Tulsa, Oklahoma. So we know that they know how to recognize when we're actually implementing our own economics and social and community structure. So I guess the question is, if we start moving towards that again, you know what I'm saying? Are we going to put in place protection,
correct,
so that what happened to Tulsa, Oklahoma doesn't happen to the next Black Wall Street?
That's been my biggest thing when talk of that started years ago. As far as with the whole Black Wall Street, you talk about chess instead of checkers. Like you got to think ahead, because when we get back to
J-Bizzle,
when we get back to that place of economic, independence, how can we protect it? How can we ensure that that Tulsa doesn't happen again, and because that's the main thing, you know, because that whole thing is demoralizing when you study it.
What?
And that's something that they didn't even teach me in school either, man. Like I had somebody outside the school, like this is in college, taking like a Black history class is when I found out about Black Wall Street. They ain't say nothing about that in elementary, high school, none of that. And I grew up in Kansas, you know what I'm saying? So that hit a little bit harder because I know people I've been to Tulsa, you know what I'm saying? Like, I understand. That's crazy.
Yeah, so.
And then our commander-in-chief is supposed to be going to Tulsa, Oklahoma on Juneteenth to have a rally. And that's not supposed to be looked at as some type of slap in the face to us as a people. I don't know, man.
That don't give a man.
Hey man, that cat is so sad it's funny. Like that cat is the funniest president ever. Like he really don't care. I thought Barack was proof that anybody could be president. This cat here is true that literally anybody could be president.
It done got to the point that when he say somebody bring up his name, I watch the whole room just kind of. That's what you do now. Like you're not even angry anymore at this point. It's like, all right, man, all right. It's like a 5'6" dude talking to a whole bunch of 6'8", 250, 280. Like, all right, man. All right, we get it. We understand. All right,
yeah.
Orange guy.
But isn't it y'all surprised?
Not at all. Not one bit.
Yes. Yeah. Somebody lying. You damn lie. No one thought this was gonna happen. Come on, now keep it funky. No. As far as with what he's doing, what I'm saying is, I'm not surprised at anything he's doing because that's who he's always been. Right. Now him getting in the office and him actually becoming president, now that's surprising. I was like, I'm surprised the fuck out of me.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised because you gotta look at when they gave the country to a black man, it was at its worst. The roof was bad. The plumbing was bad. The electricity was bad. So they gave it to a black man. He turned it around. Everything is good. So they want to see anybody, a white man, a white woman, be president other than another black man. So
I don't think they're ready for a woman yet.
Which is the reason why we got Donald Trump. So just to take a little excerpt out of the great Farrakhan's speech, choosing between Trump and Hillary is like choosing between Satan and the devil. You're going to catch hell either way it goes. So you want to catch hell today, you want to catch it tomorrow.
Yeah. Hey, but I will say this, though. I promise you, in about 10, in a few years, Kanye going to run for president. He's going to run as a Republican. He's going to win. Watch what I tell you. Kanye gonna run. He's gonna run as a Republican, and he's gonna win. I'm telling you.
I don't think it's gonna be that long. I think I can see it after this current term coming up.
Yeah, it's coming though. It's coming.
Better hope he ain't running against the Rock.
You can. I listen. You took it out. I took it out of my foot. Like, all right, don't forget about Dwayne because
I don't tequila right now. I think
I'll vote for the Rock, bro. I feel safe.
I gotta hear what he's talking about because background-wise, we don't know all his skeletons either. Because for political office, they bring out all your dirt.
Yeah.
Okay, Jroc, remember that time you cheated on your taxes?
What just happened? What just happened?
you see what I'm saying?
What just happened?
When you run for political office, okay, Spaceship, you remember that time you cheated on your baby mama? All that stuff come up out of the woodworks and stuff. So I would like to see somebody like a Killer Mike run for office.
You talking about background? They just gonna hit play on that, man. They gonna say you said this, bro.
Yeah, but it's one thing to have a background, but it's another thing to admit and accept and continue to move forward with your background. I don't think a lot of these people running is ready to do that. I think a Killer Mike, somebody like that, is ready to admit what they've done. He just hasn't mentally got there.
Hey man, this is so social media driven, bro. No one really cares about backgrounds anymore. Come on now.
They can't, because if your president had all these sexual harassment charges on him, in the past and still got elected. Still
in the Me Too movement, in the age of the Me Too movement, this
guy in the meat of it.
Middle of it. This guy. That's what I was saying as far as like everything literally was against this guy. You couldn't have picked a worse candidate. Like you literally could not have picked.
I will say this though: as soon as the black man starts to run, his background will come up.
Oh yeah,
and will be held against him.
Very true.
Well, here's the thing: if you run, your background is going to come up, and it's going to be thrown out there against you. If you're a black man, they're going to really apply that to what you're saying. So that brings me back to my statement of a Killer Mike would trump a Dwayne Johnson any day, because like I said, I got to do a little more research on him. But I think that it's beyond time to have like some more color inside the government, from the president all the way down to the janitor. Like, you got to have more diversity, because you got to look at things from, let's take it from the floor. Look at the cops, look at the mayors, look at the police chiefs, look at these DAs. Let's look at it. You can do the same crime as someone with a lighter skin and get way heavier sentences. It shouldn't be that way. Like, this country was built on the backs of our ancestors. So there's no way that, we should still be looked at as 3/5 of a man. What is 3/5? Nobody on here right now does math like that other than putting the check in your pocket. So
listen, I ain't gonna lie. When they said that number, I started doing math that day. I'm like, okay, I'm a little sharp at it. I couldn't figure it out. I'm like, wait a minute, is that?
Hold on, how many men in here right now? Let me 1, 2.
yeah. Tell y'all, figure that out. You know what I'm saying?
How many votes we got between the 8 of us?
Right. So that means a good handful of people don't even count anymore. Like, it's crazy because, all right, so I'm gonna take this quick one. I don't want to be long-winded with it. When you look at Germany, their history of the Nazis and stuff, right? You don't see them flying the Nazi flag around. You don't see them saying, "Oh, hi, Hitler," and all that crazy stuff. But you're looking at United States, they still flying the Confederate flag. They still got these buildings named after these Confederate generals, i.e. Robert E. Lee Elementary School. I know you know about that school. So
what was that?
You see what I'm saying? So it's like, why are they still naming courthouses and all these schools after these Confederate generals when we know what y'all stood for? It's no secret. We don't need a rocket scientist to figure this out, man.
Yeah, I was watching something the other day that was breaking that down, and that's pretty much, it was treason. I just don't understand. It has to be some kind of financial gain to be able to be literally rebels of the country and still have named after you. like what the
That's just the way of saying, you know what, no matter how high you go, LeBron, no matter how high you go, Barack, we still got our thumb on your neck. We got you.
And that's what we talking about, man. That's what the white folks don't understand when it comes to the systemic, man. This is ingrained. This is generations deep, man.
Man, there's one way to I've been saying this for years. I support the protests. I support everything that's going on. You really want to make an impact? Take your money out their pocket. If your boss at your job right now cut your hours from 40 a week down to 5 a week, that's not going to get your attention?
Yeah.
The damn sure get mine. So what makes you think that it wouldn't get their attention? Like, black people, we're the minorities of this country, but we're the majority of this income of the country. So what makes you think that wouldn't get their attention if we went back to, everybody on here, I'm pretty sure, grew up, in a hood or close to it. You had a corner store. You had a black business that you depended on every day. When we got older, we got our jobs. We all got bougie. We all guilty of it. We stopped spending black, and we went the other way. The Walmarts and the Targets and the Bank of Americas and all these other places, Cadillac and all that. But think about it. If you really took the black dollar out their hands and put it back in the black community, stuff like Black Wall Street, aka Central Avenue in Tampa, Oklahoma, all that stuff. Like, they don't teach you none of that in school. They teach you about Martin Luther King, Harriet Tubman, and other slave people. They don't tell you about the woman Catherine that is the reason why the spaceship was able to go shameless plug, able to go out of space. They don't tell you none of that empowering stuff. They want to keep us as entertainers. Yeah. They don't tell us about the astrologers we had. They don't tell us about the scientists and the mathematicians, and they don't tell us none of that type of stuff.
Because we ain't the ones writing the books.
Yeah. Hey,
we ain't the ones writing the books, man.
The problem with that is if we keep looking for them to educate us, then we're always going to be susceptible to whatever it is that they're putting out there. You know what I'm saying? We as individuals, as parents, as adults, have to start, you know what I'm saying, putting together those bits of information and knowledge, and we have to make a stand to say that, okay, we're going to make sure that the next generation is impugned with this knowledge, you know what I'm saying? So that they know, so that when they go out there in the world and they're going to come up against that white person that's going to try and make them 3/5 of a human being and feel like they're less, then this child is now empowered with that knowledge to say, nah, this, and this, and give true facts. You know what I'm saying? Not just an opinion, but true facts, and not make it always an emotional fight, but just intellectual recognition. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we gotta do. We gotta arm them with knowledge because they're on the battlefield every time they leave our homes.
Yeah, and to your point, D-Rod, and you too, Spaceship, my father actually owned a store in the hood. And, you know, with us talking about fatherhood and things like that, you know, those conversations are important, right? Because when you're younger, a lot of times you don't even know what you're really looking at. So here's my father owned a store in the hood, and I still remember in the 80s when Middle Eastern family moved, like opened up a business across the street from him. And, you know, they got a loan and all of that. And essentially my father, his store ended up running out of business. You know, people begin to support him, but also too, like being able to keep up with, you know, things being renovated. You know, that's an important part of us reinvesting in ourselves, reinvesting in our communities, making sure that we're supporting and staying ahead of the time. It was definitely responsibility on the community side, but it's also a responsibility on our side too as a family. So yeah, I mean, these type of conversations with our children about what economic empowerment looks like, you know, why it's important to have your own, you know, regardless of what school you go to, what major you have, being able to say that I own this business, this belongs to me, I have this skill set. You know, all of us in here, like you mentioned, like we're fathers, but we're also too like businessmen. Like I can put everybody in here, and you know, Jay got his own band. You know, Spaceship, you do what you do as far as with DJing. You know, JB, you know, all of us, we have our own businesses, but you know, having those conversations with our children too, that get your education, go to school, but also you need something to where if something go down, you can sustain yourself. Something that, regardless, you got something that belongs to you. You know, and as fathers, this is our responsibility to do that.
Well, let me
That's pretty much what we're here for tonight, too, man. Not to cut you off, Ship. My fault, man. Go ahead.
Well, I want to ask a question to everybody in here, and everybody I want to hear you chime in, starting with Jroc. Why is it that we tolerate things from others that we cancel each other out for?
You might want to come back to me on that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll start with Wally B.
Yeah, I think, you know, when you look at even crime in our neighborhood, you know, it's easier to perpetuate something against somebody that looks just like you. You know, when we talk about as far as with the value, we have to value our lives. Not necessarily that we have to value it first, because we're talking about two separate discussions. You know, the work of getting this country and the majority to respect our lives should not necessarily be predicated on us valuing and respecting our lives. It's like, you don't get to devalue me because we got issues on this side. And I want to make that clear. But I do think that there's a disconnect in our value system of each other that puts certain people and what they have on a certain pedestal. And that makes it hard. That makes it hard for us to walk away, even when they don't treat us right, even when, you know, the experience isn't good. We will continue to go back to them. Whereas somebody that looks like us, you know, if things don't go exactly right, if it's not exceptional, if it's not great, you know, if they don't meet our every demand, we quick to just walk away and to demean it as, oh, that's just how Black folk are. And we have to resist that. You know, we got to really resist. We got to resist that urge, and understanding that that's by devaluing somebody that looks like me, I'm devaluing myself and I'm demeaning myself.
Bizzle, what you got to add on to that, man?
I mean, as far as myself, it's the thing of just not knowing the value of each other. something that you're used to. You're used to it being a certain way in the hood. So when you're faced with a white man, you know, you automatically think that's the way it's supposed to be for them. You know what I'm saying? We automatically attack each other because we know we're each other. And to some of us, that's the normal. That's what we do. And when it comes to the white man, you can't see anything different. You see that it's different, but you wouldn't attack that the same way you would attack your brother. You know what I'm saying? It's just the way some of us are raised. You know what I'm saying? And to have this discussion with the younger generation, I mean, they hear it, but then they don't hear it. Okay, they don't know. They don't even. Sometimes they don't even value themselves enough to even see somebody else. Okay, I can say that growing up, I was guilty of that. You know, I didn't see nothing. Man, I was me. I was, as far as I'm concerned. White man, I ain't even pay him no attention. He don't bother me. I don't bother him. So, but I'm in the hood. Say something to me, and it's a totally different thing. White man can totally tell. Like when I was in Kentucky, that was the first time that I ever faced any type of racism, because I didn't grow up looking for it, and it didn't come to me. So once I experienced it, then it was like, hey, I don't like this. But then when I look at how we treat each other, you know, when I'm in the hood, you know, like I say, that's a normal thing. So I mean, that's what I got. Maybe I don't understand what was said, you know, the question, but that's what I have for that question.
No doubt. You added in pretty well.
You know, you did your thing.
Shut up, Jroc.
Listen, this is my take on it, right? So you have the way as a black man, we got multiple ways of how we was raised as far as the opinion of other black men of how they feel like we should be, right? So you got the person who speaks with elegance, and he has standards and he has discipline and he wants you to be as such. And then you have the pressure of your environment that tells you, no, you gotta keep it real, mother. You gotta, because he may have those examples because he lived by those examples, but you with us right now. So there's this magnified level of pressure that's been put on from being tugged and pulled from different avenues. And sometimes, like the whole pressure bust pipe thing, you just kind of explode, and then you kind of go with what you're used to going through as far as rebelling, responding to all those pressures, and then allow to you creating new judgments, creating new. You know what I'm saying? Y'all feel me on this? Because sometimes I can go on a tangent. You know
you on it, bro.
Right on.
Yeah, absolutely. You on it.
See what I'm saying? That's why when it came to, I said, give me a minute. You know what I'm saying? I have to sit with it for a second, because even within that example, I immediately want to go to Ponce de Leon. You see what I'm saying? Because I know I spent a lot of time around dope boys who I naturally I wanted to be them. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
With that, I remember sitting on a brick, right? I remember this, right? And I use this all the time. I like to step outside myself and just reevaluate what's in front of me. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I really value people's opinions, and I value their feelings. I remember looking up to the dope boy, but I also remember having a notepad writing, and a dope boy come up to me and say, "Jit, keep writing." And then I remember a week ago, after that, he get killed. So it's like, he's telling me without telling me, hey man, you may appreciate this, but there's more to it. So it's that same tug and pull, but it was being given to me, or given to the average, from a different perspective, where you don't have the voice telling you. Because you know, when we jits, we 25, 16, we don't want nobody telling us what to do. We kind of got to lead by example. You know what I'm saying? You got to sit back and just let it happen. So you have the calm version of, I put you on a pedestal and I expect for you to do certain things. And then you got the aggressive way of someone telling you, hey man, you need to do this, and this. And as we all know, especially a strong black man, if someone comes at you and talks to you with so much aggression, even if they're passionate, you immediately get on the defense. So we all know, like, the best way to speak to someone is take a minute and talk to them in a calm manner. And it'll naturally hit the person when they feel like you're not talking down on them, like you're smarter than them. You see what I'm saying? it's a lot that goes. So that when you ask that question, with so many ways to take the answer, because those are just examples of the reasoning of just from a 3/5 of a reason of why individuals kind of they treat you as such, and you're responding as such. You see what I'm saying?
No doubt. So what you got to add on to that, baby?
I think flip side of everything. I mean, like when it comes to, let's say, like black-owned businesses, like sometimes we don't shoot for excellence ourselves. Like sometimes we just settle for whatever it was we was raised up in, or whatever it was we saw, instead of trying to go for the gusto and actually providing, you know, like a higher tier of service or whatever. And that's why people come into the businesses and try to negotiate and barter and all this other shit, instead of just going and paying the price, because the value's been established. Like they don't seem to value, you know, the businessman, what it takes to own a business, the overhead and all that other stuff too. And plus, in addition to that, like what the business itself is going to build for the community around it. And just showing people, the whole thing about it, you got to show people that it can be done, man. Like if you haven't seen any businessmen of your color around you, then you ain't going to know that, you know what I'm saying? And that all comes with where you're at and who's around you and what they're doing. And, you know, the older heads reaching out to the younger cats and, you know, being their OGs and shit like we was raised up on. And I don't know if that's still going on in the world these days, but it doesn't seem like it is. You know what I'm saying? Like it seems like the youth is lost right now. I know they probably said that about us, but, you know, we found our way. You know what I'm saying? These cats is on some right now. I don't understand it.
I will say this. The Jets of today, like we can all agree that we grew up in a golden era, right? We grew up in a sweet time, a sweet spot when it comes to like life, right? And I won't say, and I'm with you 100%, Tom. Yet I won't say that they completely lost, because we was doing the same shit. We just didn't have the footage to back it, right?
Yeah.
So you got these Jets these days. I'm gonna be real with you. I'm gonna go a step further. I think this is the best time, because they got examples to go off of now. Because you know what the old heads did with us back in the day. They hit you with that, but you don't really have any evidence of it. You see what I'm saying? How everything is set up.
You can see it now.
You can see it. You can feel it. Mm-hmm. Like an example, right? I'll do you one fella, because y'all know how much I like 3 Stacks. Y'all know he just posted the other day.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, he posted on IG, and he was pretty much saying this is the first time when everybody striking and protesting that you can see it, you can feel it. So it's just a different. As much as unfortunately there's a strong percentage of our youth that's hopefully they won't continue to be lost, but they're lost in the moment, right? There's a big culture of nah, we tired of this shit. Like we tired of this shit on every avenue of it, and we finna lead by example. We finna show the next series of youth, hey look, this is what we did, and here's the proof of it. You see what I'm saying? This is not the shit that they put in those books. This is the proof right here. You can't take this away. You know what I'm saying?
You can't lie to us. You can't lie to us. Like
you can't lie to us no more.
They got social media. They got the internet. Like back in the day, they got back in the day stores, but they also got in front of your face what I'm seeing stores too.
Word.
So I mean, it's crazy, man.
Kapone, and you're getting lifted to the sounds of my DJ Spaceship. Go ahead and beam him up, boy. Let's get him. Greetings and salutations from us to all the nations. We're about to get loose, strictly for entertainment. We're reppin' Tampa Bay, 10 toes down. It's waves of the bay. No, we ain't playing around. Saturdays from 10 to 12. Make sure you ride the wave. It's Tone Kapone and DJ Spaceship on your airwaves. We're mixing interviews, R&B and hip hop. We're blasting off, and the top is just a pit stop. This is Tone Kapone
and DJ Spaceship.
And Saturday nights from 10 to midnight, we bring you Waves of the Bay. Right here on WMNF 88.5 Tampa.
With the hottest interviews, the hottest music.
You can submit your music for the Tampa Bay Watch segment at wavesofthebay@gmail.com or follow us on all social media at Waves of the Bay.
Every Saturday, 10 to 12. Make sure you come and ride the wave.
Yes, sir.
Hello, officer. Yes, I have my license and registration. Let me get them out the glove compartment. Here you go, sir. Now, I don't understand why you put me over. Do you mind telling me? What you mean, step out the car? What you mean? What did I do, officer? Officer, what did I do? Dear Mr. Officer, don't shoot me till bullets ain't left. I got kids to look after, they love me to death. All I did was put my blank on, then I switched to the left. Then y'all put me over, say I'm looking suspicious, oh yeah? Is it cause I'm young, black, and riding on them 22s? Did I say something wrong? Officer, because you look confused. Is it cause of my pigmentation? Don't think that you're racist, but you put me over, and you stopped me, no justification. Officer, Uncle Ruckus, let me get your badge number. How you sit and let your white partner call me a nigga? Why am I stepping out my car? I'm the one that's a victim. Hands on my steering wheel, so I ain't even resisting. This shit ridiculous, so you wonder what I'm mad for. Because you black, that's why the fuck this shit hurt more. Officer, you got a badge, go do some protecting. You can't even look me in my eyes, don't even respect me. You got your handcuffs out, but what did I do? Because I'm black and I'm guilty of telling the truth. If you gon' cuff me, gonna do it, I'll be out by the night. Don't put your hands on that gun, you ain't fearing for life. This shit ain't right. I swear to God, this shit ain't right. Officer, what you doing? No, don't shoot, don't shoot, don't shoot, don't shoot.
I got to shout out Fresh P. I got to shout out Miko White for putting that together. This is what I'm talking about, man. This is exactly what I'm talking about. This is the reason why, the police-citizen relationship in the black community is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know a few good cops. I've seen a lot of bad cops. A lot of bad cops. A lot of corrupt cops. In Junction City, Kansas, I'll go ahead and name drop you, man. In JCPD, y'all corrupt as fuck. I'll go ahead and name drop y'all, man. Missouri, I never experienced racism like I did in Missouri. Like, it was driving around while black. It's real. It's real. It's real. So what I did for our spoken word event that we did virtually in May, I had some of the poets just gather up, just their thoughts about life, being black, and just maintaining and trying to survive and trying to thrive. And what we did was put together a Black Lives Matter spoken word cipher. And I felt like it was a good time to bring this back into the mix and remix it a little bit. So what you're about to see is the cipher that we did back in May. And like I said, I get into my backstory a little bit more, explain a few things that happened to me. But the stories that were told when we did this, so powerful, man. And it's unscripted and real. And these real stories are what really hits home. Like I was telling my best friend, man, like, names are names. Like, I could read out the names, and I do read out the names at the end of this cipher, but as you can see at the beginning, the intro, once you see the names and see the faces that go with the names, it rings home a lot more. And just to know that everybody that was on my panel had a story to tell. We got to do better. We got to do better. I hope somebody in law enforcement is watching this, or whoever needs to watch this. You know, I hope you guys pay attention to what we're doing out here, man. We're trying to put on meaningful, purposeful, impactful events. And since we're going virtual and I have control of whatever it is that we're doing, I'm going to do whatever I want to do. And this one is, like I said, it rings near and dear to my heart. And I just had to make sure that we did this one right. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it back over to the spoken word Cypher. As you guys will see, we had a great time with this one. And just make sure you guys are paying attention, checking out each of the poets, the spoken word artists that did work for us. And then I'll be back in just a moment to wrap everything up. I'll catch you. Yes, sir. This is Tone Kapone with Ignite the Night, and we are doing a virtual spoken word event. I got to shout out my DJ Spaceship. He just did work for you guys, kept you guys entertained, kept the vibe right. But right now, we're about to bring to life something that I've been wanting to do for a while. And I kind of tasked these poets to do this earlier in the process, but I just felt like, I know we could have got it done, but it just seemed like it was a little bit too much work. But I had an idea where we just had like certain categories and let the poets just go off the categories and things like that, like certain topics. So I had to just revise it because I really just gave them like 6 topics, like, yo, can you do this, that? But there's really one thing I want to talk about, and it's nothing new. That's the problem about it. It's just more prevalent now because social media is out here, and what's going on is actually being exposed to media and to the world. But this Black Lives Matter, All Lives Matter, this police murdering of black males and females at the same time, like, man, this is something that weighs heavily on my heart. And I promise you guys, like, when I was a junior in college at the University of Missouri, I was at a concert, Eminem and Ludacris concert in St. Louis, and 4 Maryland Heights / St. Louis policemen handcuffed me because they thought I was trying to sneak somebody into the concert. And they snuck me behind a building and they whooped my ass. And I promise you this, like, I wish I still had the pictures. They're somewhere around here, but they whooped my ass, and then they charged me for fucking polluting or something. So they charged me for some shit when they got away with some stuff. And this is like in 03. So just to see that it's 2020 and this stuff is still going on. It's been going on for years now. And it's just now starting to get more visible. And the whole Ahmaud case just kind of like brought it back to the public eye. But this is what I want to do, man. I want to bring to life a spoken word artist cipher, focus on all lives / Black Lives Matter. And we'll go ahead and get this one kicked off with the homie DeTyme, man.
Yeah, okay, so this poem is called The Law Don't Like Us, and honestly, I just wanted to start off with it just because, just like your anecdote, you was talking about 2003, I wrote this in 2007 in response to the Jana 6, and for me, as a young adult, whereas I have experienced certain issues due to even the mild differentiation of color of my skin, versus just, knowing that I'm not necessarily seen the same as someone else with darker complexion, but still being seen differently through my own experiences. When I had grown up and started, being exposed to more spoken word poetry, being out at more shows, there was a collective where they put together a Jana 6 compilation album where the proceeds actually went to the Jana 6 during that fighting. And so that time frame, it just really highlighted a lot of focus. And this was obviously this last decade that we've been in, it was prior to all that technological advancement, all that extra, light that's brought to these different issues through internet technology, and of course, methods such as this one here, that just really make that content viral. And realistically, the thoughts that I put together, I felt fairly confident about, and I just wanted to maybe bring back some of those thoughts as well, because even if along the way we desensitize ourselves to it, more and more and more with each name that we add to a list, with each new incident that we see, we're continually re-desensitized by it, especially when it starts being introduced into fiction and when it's being introduced into more different, just like everyday like jokes, like you wake up to a slur, to a slew of content all dedicated to the same thing, basically making light of real life incidents that just happened less than 24 hours ago. And it makes it just very bizarre. And you think to yourself now, you're like, wow, yeah. 15 years ago, 17 years ago, 20 years ago, we remember all the places that we were, that we first encountered these little things. And I'm only 32, you know what I mean? Like 20 years ago, I was 12 years old, and I could probably tell you certain things that happened to me while I was in middle school or whatever. So yeah, it always comes full circle. And in this particular poem, The Law Don't Like Us, it was a reminder to the oppressed, the peers in my group and the different circles, that would be exposed to listening, that the law never liked us. You know what I'm saying? It was written by these people who sought to give us no actual freedoms, but they wrote freedom for everyone in the Constitution long prior to giving it to us. So the law don't like us. The cops don't like us. Bush don't like us. Fuck Don Imus. Shit so trifling. I said the cops don't like us. Bush don't like us. Fuck Don Imus. Shit so trifling. 2007 oppression was much different than the restless torment on our dormant ancestors and predecessors. Questionless answers answer questions that haven't even been asked yet. Yet we're guessing as to why things need be questioned in the first place when forefathers bore water and birthed a new day for our daughters, brothers, and mothers alike. And like struggle and fight tore martyrs down, ideas live on. But you see, a people lost pride and character when enemy lines through the fight. The disillusionment meant that we lost sight of the light that created drive when ride in the night may mean death for those darker than white. They started the fight, and we always get punished for pride in our name. They always got pleasure for persecuting our pain, like postcards of Willie lynched niggas as they hang. But 2007 is different. Willie lynched niggas hang themselves with a chain too tight around their necks to perceive change in their brains. Awareness. I'll wear this awareness until it is instilled in my veins. I'll share this awareness because it needs to be heard. Like forefathers bore water and birthed a new day. But when the levees broke, when the water broke, we realized that a premature revolution need be nurtured much more than flooding roses and gardens with hope to be revolution retarded. Constitution is flawed and equality is promised, yet the law disregards it. Yet the law is guarded by blood of martyrs written to protect those who oppress those same martyrs who died to see the progress slow. But every single time a little progress shows, some shit like Jana 6 or like a project though, it makes me sick to see my hood haunted with hooded ghosts. They say the cops don't like us, Bush don't like us. Fuck Don Imus, the shit's so trifling, and then that's where my mind is. It is so trifling that every time we do a little right, then they fight it. So fight back, and matter of fact, fight black with fists raised in air. Beware for their attack. Now hold up. We did, and we taught it to our kids, the sit-in. You see, I commend the actions of today for a better life tomorrow, but it looks like we still need more awareness, the knowledge to demand nothing less than respect from self first and then from the rest. Revolution retarded. Constitution is flawed and equality is promised, yet the law disregards it. What happens when the law promised us what we asked for, but the people that wrote it up just sit back and laugh slow? No, the law never liked us. Thank you guys. Thank you. That's it. And yeah, man, I'm about to actually cut out, man. I'm very glad that I had a chance to tune in with everybody. and you know, be a part of the Ignite the Night show, the Black Lives Matter, All Lives Matter, you know, open mic right after. And then as I mentioned, you know, just before, we live in a new world, man. So this is really the place that we take our current exposure and we put out the best faith, because it's in a world where anything at any moment can really just pick up. And I mean, this representation is very important. I'm super excited to hear everybody else. I'm gonna definitely you know, be locked in and make sure that we get, you know, these events circulated, because you've been doing a fantastic job, man. So thank you again for inviting me out. You've just been doing a great job, just maintaining all that momentum and really keeping a focus, like a great super focus, you know, on some of the artists, you know, who can just really continue pushing that other positive messages, you know. Thank you guys. I go by DeTyme Poet, DeTymepoet. Thank you.
Hey, that's love, bro. Appreciate you joining us, man. Thank you for taking time out, and just give the family our love, bro, for real.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm gonna see you guys. Thank you very much. Have a good one, man.
That's how we get this thing started off. So right here, this is the Ignite the Night virtual cipher, and I got plenty of poets right here ready to chime in. So I want to go ahead and bring Surreal up. Surreal, I want you to go ahead and tell the people why this means so much to you, and then also just do work, yo. Do work.
Okay. Well, I didn't realize how what it was like until something happened to my sister. So around 2010, her and I were out partying in Ybor City. We got separated from each other. She decided to ask a police officer for some help trying to locate me. Well, they felt that she was being disrespectful. She was hogtied and thrown into the back of their cop car and brought to the McDonald's over by I-4, the I-4-275 connection, and she had to walk back to Central Ybor in her with no shoes on, because they kept her shoes. They didn't process her anything. They just wanted to teach her a lesson. She didn't want to go any further with it as far as pressing charges, because she felt that, well, it's my story versus their story, and my story is not going to be heard. So she is actually a part of this piece that I'm going to do.
Man.
The thing that they don't understand is the circle of life. The circle goes the same. Dog eat dog, shark eat fish, big person snatch little person. So understand this, with the shit going on in this country. I need you to understand what white privilege entitles your ignorant ass to. We don't walk up on shit and ask what's going on, or ask what's without getting beat, tased, or shot. We don't ask why or what or whose when we should. We cower, or we say, you know what, fuck it, doesn't matter, because that's what we've been taught. The days of being an upstanding citizen has been upstaged by Lucy's and BB guns and phones, hands up, don't shoot. Asking why has given us suicide watches and suicide warnings with hashtags. If you find me dead, I didn't commit suicide. Hands up, don't shoot, I can't breathe. Asking for help had Renisha shot in her head. Closer to home had Lynette hogtied, thrown in a cop car, and dropped off 3 miles away from where they found her without shoes to walk back. Being a kid had Tamir shot multiple times. We are being made an example of. But you asked me at work, why didn't I jump in when the SWAT team came to see a man about an imaginary gun? Why didn't I talk to police? You asked, why didn't I intervene? It's because of the Sandras, the Erics, the Renishas, the Lynettes, the Tamirs, and all the others on the endless list, past, present, and future, that created the need and continue the need for a hashtag, hands up, don't shoot. Black Lives Matter. I didn't intervene because I wasn't born with your idea of privilege. I was born, I was raised, I grew up, I learned, I listened, I paid attention. I watched as privilege was given as a gift, not a courtesy. So ask me, yes, and I'll tell you, it's common sense. She was born with privilege, and I was born with melanin and Maybelline. So I'll leave it up to you to make up or cover up the foundation of my statement. Thank you.
All right, Surreal. All right, Surreal. I want you to go ahead and drop your social media information so people can find you. And thank you for sharing the story, too.
You can find me at Surreal at Surreal11 at Facebook.com. Yvette, I'm Yvette on Facebook because I have many different names to keep the government out of my and the work out of my personal life.
Straight up. But no, man, like, for real, thank you again for sharing that story. But people think that there's such like an angry black male syndrome out there that people try to diagnose us with, and it's just they don't understand what it's like coming out the house every day. Like, I'm half black and I'm half Puerto Rican, but I was raised by the black side of my family in the middle of Kansas, and Kansas is a racist ass state. But where I grew up at wasn't that bad because we were by a military base and we had a bunch of different, blends there. But when I went to school in Missouri, man, Missouri is just a different beast, yo. Like, these cats don't give a damn about us out there, and people just, they don't know anything. They don't know anybody that has happened to, so they think it's just water under the bridge. But these stories have been going on for so long. Like, I'm telling you, like, I'm talking about 03. DeTyme was talking about 07. You were talking about 2010 or 2011. And it's 2020 right now. And ain't shit changed, man. Except that the media is more prevalent and we're bringing more attention to what's going on. And that's the reason why we're doing this virtual spoken word cipher about Black Lives / All Lives Matter. I'll tell y'all a quick story, man. The scaredest I've been in a long time. I was out just driving. I was trying to go get some food. I had my wife and I have my daughter, and we're in the car. I'm in my wife's car, and apparently she didn't put her registration sticker on the plate, so we got pulled over. I had no idea why we got pulled over, and there's a white cop coming up, and I just know all the stuff that might happen. I'm downplaying everything that might go down in my head with my 5-year-old daughter in the back seat, and I have not been that damn scared for no fucking reason. I ain't do anything wrong, and that's the problem, man. Like, people getting shot in their own house, on their own couch. Like, there has to be some type of solution to this shit, man. Like, for real. There has to be some type of solution. Surreal, thank you for sharing that poem with us and your experience. Scorpio, let's go to you, bro.
What's up? All right, yes, I'm gonna get into this poem. So what's important? Because like Tony, like you were saying, a lot of young men of color very much we have running with the police. You know what I mean? It's just it's sad. It's almost become like a rite of passage. You know what I mean? Like as a young man, life gets real. Like, the first time life gets really real is whenever you get confronted by a cop. So I'm gonna get into this experience happened me and my friends. I want to say it was 2017. We was out shooting a music video and had a little run-in. So I'm gonna get into it. I also touch a little bit on the fears of parents when their kids start driving for the first time. So you hope they come back because you know what happens out there on the road. It was an all-white 2007 Dodge Caliber. Felt like I was pulling Excalibur from the stone first time I put the key in the ignition. Dark tints, noir rims that came with it rolling clean on the scene. Kenwood radio blasting music around the city, backseat speakers blown. And the truth is, I don't think my mother worried about a rubber meeting road as much as she did about motionless tires. Flashing lights. She knows that a brown boy is enough to raise red flags to white men in blue uniforms. She knows what happens when boys like me step up to bat. We either knocked out in the park or end up with strikes on our back seeing Astro. She said, "Mijo, you need to learn how to dodge them. Don't be brave. When the police raid your car like pirates, these giants won't hesitate to turn you into an angel." And I know firsthand what it feels like to look death down the barrel as your opponent wears a badge of protection, a bullet locked in the chamber, ready to be set free. And this was all before I ever got behind the wheel of a car. A year prior, my friends and I took a ride at sunset. I'm in the back seat, Canon camera on my hip, video shoot, almost turn unarmed shooting. We see the color lights flash. No shut it involved. Red and blue lights dancing down a Glock 22. See my homies in my periphery. Hands up, frozen. Like photographs, we all know that policemen can release bullets. We all know that they can release bullets without remorse, that policemen can cover up every inch of a crime scene, you know, frame us up perfect like I had a cannon. I'm the one that shot first, paint the picture of two marksmen squaring off. Steel versus glass. Gunpowder versus gigabytes. Act like they feared for their lives just as much as we did, as if we weren't frozen. Exposed, waiting for sure to snap, praying that they don't pull back that trigger and blast. And they tell us that had any of us made even the slightest move, that they wouldn't have hesitated to shoot. And they never do miss a target. Thank you.
Man, straight up, man. Straight up. Scorpio, drop your social media information on them, bro.
You can find me on Instagram, scorpio.vision. Yeah, that's about it.
Man, thank you for sharing that for me too, and thank you for being part of this event, man. I appreciate you, bro, for real, man. Man, this is such a powerful topic, yo. Like, oh, such a powerful topic. Let's go ahead and kick it to let's go with Blessed Serenity.
Okay, let's do this. So my piece is called Black Barrels and White Faces. I actually grew up in the Bronx. I was born in DR. I came to the Bronx when I was 6 years old. Grew up in the Bronx, moved to Queens, and I can honestly say that I never really experienced racism to the degree. I've experienced colorism, but racism to the degree with police involved, like I did when I moved here, I had never experienced that before. So this piece is extremely personal because it's a true story. My son was 14 years old when this piece was written. My dear son, I turned the corner and only caught the silhouette of your tear-soaked face before I froze. There's no way that my little boy is standing in the distance surrounded by cops whose faces were filled with indifference. My look was that of fear and sorrow, but they couldn't tell the difference. To them, I was another black parent and you another statistic. Your explanations were deemed unnecessary conversations by the same 10 black cops who surrounded you. One hand on their guns, the other on their tasers. And all I can remember was the black barrels and the white faces. And all I can recall was the colored folks who caught cases, yet at the hands of white privilege were more like lost cases, deemed generally worthless, whose real struggle had no basis. So as sweet as the concept of freedom is, at 14, my son now knew exactly how bitter that taste really is. I saw what they didn't, and I felt what they couldn't. And in the midst of the chaos and the cacophony of sirens and accusations, I heard a wail escape his lips as he yelled, "Mommy, I didn't do it." Dissonance is defined as a tension or clash resulting from the combination of two disharmonious elements. Melanin deserves respect and love. There should be no impediments. Love and equality should always be prevalent. Now, if only we can get the rest of the world to join in on that sentiment. Black Lives Matter. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Thank you for sharing that with us. For real. I believe it. That's the problem, though. Like, we're so desensitized to this shit now. Like, nothing surprises me now. Like, it takes a lot to surprise me now. And it's like, yo, like even a mother that walked her kid off the thing, off into the water. Like, come on, man. Like, nothing surprises me no more. Like, people
at all.
It shouldn't be like that.
Son, I have a 10-year-old daughter and have a 5-year-old son. And of course, there's my concern for my little girl, of course, but you know, my boys are darker complected. You could tell that, you know, they have a little bit more melanin than my daughter has. And even with a 10-year gap difference, I worry. My son never would have had to worry about something like this, how we still lived in New York. And maybe I shouldn't say that, but because it's my experience, it's hard to have these conversations with my kid because all he can recall are the black barrels and the white faces. That's all he can remember. Now at 16, 2 years later. It's hard when my 5-year-old sees a cop car and all he can remember was the cops that were surrounding his brother. It's the hardest thing to live nowadays in this day and age as a parent, because you don't really know how much of what you do is going to protect them anyway. It's so out of our hands. It's ridiculous.
And you don't even know what to teach them. Like, I don't know what to teach Ariana about the police. Like, I'm trying to teach her like a positive impression of the police, but it's kind of hard to do that at the same time. Like, daddy's been through some shit. Mommy's from New York. Mommy hasn't seen it as much as, New York. And with that being said, man, let me shout out all the real police officers that's actually doing their job out there, because you guys don't get enough credit. Like, real talk, because there's more than a few bad apples, but they're ruining the whole bunch right now. But there's really officers out there that give a damn. But when you run into this type of situation, it's just like, man, like, what are we gonna do? How are we gonna teach these kids how to operate coming up? And then on top of that, like, how are they gonna, when the police is not protecting us, they're fucking us up.
Exactly.
They're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Thank you for sharing that with us, for real though. Drop your social media information so people can find you.
For sure, you can follow me on Instagram at Serenity _ BLESSED SERENITY _
Perfect. Thank you again. Dennis, let me hear what you got to say on this one, bro.
Yo, I have a lot to say on this stuff, man. I got to actually really make sure that I don't talk over the top, or, you know what I mean? I mean, there's so much, this is something that I've been passionate about. I think me being biracial, I'm sure you can attest to this tone, you know what I mean? The understanding of a racial identity is something that's been real in my life since the day I was here, you know what I'm saying? Being a white passing person, being raised around black men, black people, but also being raised in a racist white town, a small town in New York, actually. And so a lot of that informs my racial identity and understanding. But what I see and what I've experienced and what I've heard about the people who actually are physically black informs the realities of what it is, man. And I've been on this fight for a long time, I think. I try not to be too vocal about it. I try to do everything like physical or not physical. I try to be very active with my fighting back. So not all my poems are Black Lives Matter or focus on the black struggle, unless it's directly related to like my experience or my perspective. But the work I do is consistent, and I think at the end of the day, that's what we have to look at. I have more radicalized beliefs, and I have to struggle with sometimes whether it's jaded because of what I've seen and what I've experienced, and working with young people in the positions that I do, at risk, homeless. It's not, it's outside of numbers and statistics. What I'm seeing in front of my eyes is that it's black and brown kids that are the majority homeless, that are majority locked up, that are majority at risk. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that don't happen to white kids, but it is majority. I would say 80% black and brown. And considering that's not even the majority of the people that live in this country, I think that says a lot alone, but as far as what we can do, I struggle with I think DeTyme nailed it on the head too about the desensitization part of it. We see so many black killings. Two things happen. One, we start to think that it's only a problem if somebody dies, right? And I think everybody here has had a story of police brutality that doesn't involve death, that I think is very real in all of our communities, from false identities to police just messing with you while you're walking to school. You know what I mean? I think all of us has had these experiences, right? And they weren't that dangerous, so they're not that bad, but in reality, it's still somebody who's in a position of authority who is told that they're the protectors of justice of this land, intentionally abusing that authority to fuck with you because of your skin color. And my bad if I'm swearing, but and so again, my radicalism, my radical beliefs, and what I believe comes to a very much self-sufficiency. I think that we should be armed. I think we should be educated in how we're armed. Again, my experience, I grew up in a black, small black street in a historically racist white town, and I think the reason that there wasn't no racial violence on my street was because all the black people were armed, and people knew that, and just things like that. Do you think them dudes would have went after Ahmad if they knew he had a pistol on him? You know what I'm saying? Do you think again, I know that we're very sensitive with guns, but I think it takes on a complete different nuance when we're talking about racial identity and we're talking about the way the America has been politically formulated, you know what I mean, on all levels to be against Black people and people of color. But like I said, I got a lot to say on that. I want to get into poetry, but yeah. So, anyways, so I have a haiku, and then and then part of the haiku was inspired by the Ahmaud Arbery case and or situation. I wish we loved Black men as much as we seem to love watching them die. Real simple, powerful, and I think it's powerful because we see so much death of Black men and so little of the justice that we're claiming that we're doing it for. You know, the death is always spectacleized so much more than I think any other race, and I think, you know, people just want to see what happened more than they actually want to follow through and see the justice happen. You know what I'm saying? And so that's where that comes from. And then the poem I'm writing is called "The Murder of Bobby Hutton." So Bobby Hutton, for those who don't know, he was the first death of the Black Panthers from the state. The state killed him. He was 16 years old. He was one of the youngest members. And this was obviously, this was in the state's response to the Black Panthers and their, you know, armed control over their own communities and people. And so that's kind of what this poem is about. I think within this poem, it speaks a lot in the general sense of how I think America views Black men and Black people in general. I wonder if it was quiet when the boy climbed out naked, hands reaching for the sky as if it were his mama. Most babies don't cry until they're struck. The first thing a baby learns in life is fear. Still, he wasn't scared, and that's what they hated most. He was a baby. They struck him so many times and still couldn't kill his soul, still couldn't make it cry, and they learned courage from it. Even a kitten will be seen as a panther when it's found its claws, and gun smoke replaces pacifiers. I wonder if it was quiet after. A baby struck 13 times, lying naked in a delivery room, everyone surrounding, waiting anxiously to see if it will cry. So yeah. So yeah, man, that's it's a shorter one, but I think it's poignant, man. It's almost this, you know, it just speaks to the game that I feel like America plays with Black people. You know, you see it in the way that Black women are consistently stolen from, consistently mocked and imitated, but never credited. I think you see it in the way Black men are demonized, but at the same time sexualized, and athletes and stars and star performers. And I think there's this weird, like, just dynamic that we have to break through, a cultural, an old perspective of Black life that is still very real and prevalent in our country that has to die before we can move on with any sense of racial peace. And I think I'll end with that. And what I'll say with it all at the end of that, I think something tangible we can do when we go through these moments, when we see these things, there's a couple things we need to remember. The hashtags were created not to just highlight the death, but to remember that there was a family that needed to be supported after the death. So that we always remember, if the first place we want to help is with the families directly, and then after that, the next place we want to help is in our communities directly. So what can we do to uplift and encourage Black people? Many of the people on this podcast do that. Tone, I think your show and what you do is amazing. You know, Indie Nora Market is amazing. I think things like that, making sure we're doing our best to support those, and you know what I mean, I think just making sure that we're mentoring, we're trying to be good examples for the young people, we're telling them the truth, tell them the truth, all right? Be acceptance that we failed and we made mistakes, that's okay. We got to tell them the truth or they're not going to be able to move forward. And yeah, so I think those things are tangible things that we could do to help our people or Black people in general in the country, until we get to a place where politically we have enough power to start really changing things. You know what
I mean? Man, straight up, bro. Drop your social media on these cats, man.
Yeah, my Dennis Amadeus. Thank y'all for listening to me, and thank you for the platform, and thank y'all for hearing what I have to say. Like I said, there's so much more I could talk about on it, but much love, man. Thank y'all so much. And keep sharing y'all stories. Please keep sharing them.
Man, yeah, this is exactly what I thought it was going to be. You know, I came in with the idea I was going to bring something to life, and I figured that once I did, it was going to be a little bit more powerful and impactful than I thought it would be, and that's exactly what this is. And I appreciate y'all sharing your personal testimonies when it comes to this, man. One thing that I cannot stand when it comes to what's going on with the Black Lives, All Lives Matter type movement is that whenever something happens to a black male, they always go in and try to find a bad way to portray him. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's never about what happened to us. It's always about, oh, what happened back then. You know, that might have been a mistake or mishap or something that you might have grown from. But it's always about that. And they always try to paint an image that, you know, it was due. You know, it was our fault, or we was asking for it, or stuff like that, man. Like, that's just part of it.
I'm sorry to cut you. I want to say one more thing, man, because just before I lose it, I think what you just said, right, is that demonization. Look at Mike Vick and Kobe Bryant, right? These are two black men who are famous, successful. They made mistakes. They accepted their mistakes. And then they worked every moment from that day to change their mistakes. And even to this day, Kobe passed. And it was that mistake that they wanted to use to tear him down. Of
all things, that's the thing they wanted to pick on with Kobe.
And again, I don't think it should be ignored, because that's the point of him acknowledging and changing his mistake. So if we ignore it, we also lose that power that he acknowledged what he did and changed it. You know what I mean? But instead, it's just demonized. And the same with Mike Vick. It's like he does everything in his power to fight against dogfighting now. You know what I'm saying? Why are we sending campaigns to make it so he can't get in the Hall of Fame or whatever? You know what I'm saying? It's like, what message are we sending to black people or black kids who have made mistakes or have maybe not come from the best circumstances? The message is
compare Kobe to Ben Roethlisberger. They don't even mention that shit with Ben Roethlisberger. And that should happen more than once with Ben. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's stuff like that, man. Like,
sorry to cut you off.
You gotta be. No, it's real, dog. I'm with that, man. You gotta be perfect to be out here living while black, or else you gotta be nervous, man. Like I said, you can't even come out your house. People's coming in your house shooting you and getting away with that shit. That makes zero fucking sense, man. That makes zero sense, man. Thank you guys again for sharing your testimony. J Lotus, let's go ahead and finish this up.
Thank you, Tone. Thank you for the platform. I always love Black Lives Matter or All Lives Matter topics. That's like my favorite. This piece I'm gonna do is called Shattered Chains. I'm trying to brand me as a poet, and a part of who I am as a poet is about empowering the black woman and empowering women and empowering those who look like me. So that's kind of what this is about. I one time had someone at USF ask me to do a piece. They asked me to do a piece on unity. Shattered Chains was actually the name of their event. So I titled my poem that because I wrote it specifically for that event. But it always seems to come back to me whenever I'm doing like a Black Lives or All Lives Matter type of a thing. So it's really just about unity. And just real quick, when I came to Florida, so I'm from Tennessee, and when I came to Florida for the first time, I saw people that were from a lot of different places that I'd never seen people from, and they looked similar to me. So it kind of threw me off, but I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, you start talking to somebody and they reply back in a different language.
And I'm like, hold up.
Yeah,
I'm like,
I know all about that.
You know, I'm used to seeing maybe Mexicans, but someone who was from like Haiti or DR or Honduras. I didn't see much of that in Tennessee. So yeah, coming to Florida was a lot different for me, and I enjoy it. I enjoy it a lot because it's that reminder for me that it's not just Africans that came over and were slaves. You know, it's a lot of it's just a lot of things that weren't shared with me in my history books. I'll say that. So this piece is called Shattered Chains, and it's just about unity and us coming together regardless of how light or dark your melanin is, if you got that melanin, we won. So it goes, let's start over. Let's pretend that nothing was ever stolen from us. Let's pretend that we never decided to be divided by complexion and the love connection is still there. Let's pretend that we're all fair and we're all strong and we're all good and we take care of one another. And if it seems wrong, we stop and think about our Father, even if we consider him an it or that it's the Son. Let's pretend that we are one. Let's pretend that regardless of what we say we come from, rather we are direct descendants of Mother Africa, we just came to America, we were born here. We are black and we are born here. Let's pretend that we aren't the nation, like the nation's greatest didn't come from us. Let's pretend that we aren't the greatest, like we aren't loved, like we didn't do much, but from math to medicine to America's first clock, the mailbox, the mop, none of it wouldn't be here if our melanin didn't pop with or without chains. Let's pretend we never heard mixed messages about not being prejudiced because they have black friends. Let's not pretend. From the beginning again, let's start over. Let's be one.
That's what I'm talking about right there. That's what I'm talking about right there. J Lotus, let them know where they can find you at.
You can find me at just J Lotus, JUSJLOTUS. Like I said, I'm branding myself. I'm pushing myself out there as a poet. I'm opening up to the world and sharing who I am. So follow me, JUSJLOTUS, just J Lotus. Thanks.
Man.
Tone, I love you.
Hey, thank you guys so much, man. Like for real, like I appreciate I appreciate the openness. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't want to talk about stuff, and I didn't even know we was gonna go here, but the fact that y'all went there with me means a lot to me. You know what I'm saying? And then when we put this out and we rewatch this, I know that people are gonna feel the energy that we have and the conviction that we have when it comes to this topic. Because your story is like. And this is the crazy part. Like, I got my stories. Y'all got y'all's stories. And I don't even know nothing about y'all's stories. But yet, all of our stories line up, man. Like, we got to do better. We got to do better, man. And like I said, I'm from a small country town. But, you know, like some of my best friends growing up was white. We were all blended. We was pretty much 50-50 because we had a military base right next to us. So it was a lot different than a lot of other towns in Kansas. You know what I'm saying? I would definitely say that. But just the fact that, like, I can see these cats I grew up with years ago. And I can see that they will stand up on a Black Lives Matter type topic. They will see that something that's going on in the world is not right, and they will talk about it. That means a lot to me because that means that they was just raised right, and that what they feel is actually like real. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people be front, and just that genuine, that authenticity. That's why I appreciate you guys. That's why I appreciate what y'all do. Spoken word artists, like you guys bring. Like I said, man, your words carry weight, yo. Like more weight than y'all would even know. And what's even better when we do it visually and virtually, those words carry weight forever. You know what I'm saying? People's gonna run this back and be like, damn. And we'll see. Hopefully 2021, we ain't gonna have to do the same type of thing. Hopefully we can talk about better stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, hopefully things will get better. But I'm one of them people that I always believe that, you know, when you hit the bottom, you gotta bounce back up, you know, straight up, or else I ain't the one that's gonna stay there, period. So this is technically the 6th year Ignite the Night anniversary show. We've been doing this for 6 years. So I want to say thank you guys for being a part of this. It's our 2nd virtual event. We've had to adapt and we've had a fun time doing it. And I ain't worried about it, man. If this is how we have to proceed, if this is the new normal, then this is what it is, man. But I wanted to leave this off with just some names. I'm not even going to read all the names. I'm just going to read some names because I don't have time to read all these names. But these names need to be read, you know what I'm saying? So let's do it like this. Too many damn names, yo. Ayanna Jones, Anthony Lamar Smith, Rakia Boyd, Trayvon Martin, Timothy Russell, Melissa Williams, Renisha McBride, Dontre Hamilton, Ezell Ford, John Crawford III, Mike Brown, Tamir Rice, Sandra Bland, Jeremy Carby, Jamar Clark, Alton Sterling, Philando Castile, Corinne Gaines, Taryn Crutcher, Keith Lamont Scott, amongst many other names, man. Your guys' names will be remembered. You guys' legacy will be remembered. And we're definitely praying for the families of anybody affected by anything that's going on with police brutality. Whatever color you are, man. Whatever color you are, we're standing with you. We're all one. And I find no other way than to end it like this, man. Let me shout out DJ Spaceship for doing what he did tonight and flexing on us. I want to shout out all the poets that did their thing tonight and for taking part in this virtual event and for taking times out of your afternoon to rock with us too, man. So thank you guys. I hope your families are good. I hope everybody's safe, and I cannot wait to see y'all on the flip side and give hugs and dap and everything else, man. So y'all be easy, take care, and once again, thank you guys.
I love y'all. Don't y'all be acting like I got the Rona when I see y'all in person.
Don't call for sneeze around me.
Hey, don't be doing it, old crap. Don't be talking about 6 feet. Because I'm trying to get some love now.
Can't wait to be in the same
call me out on it.
Hugs right now, man. Like I'm a
Bless,
hugger.
I'll see you tomorrow. Love you,
no
Dennis.
elbow dabs, none of that.
Peace, y'all. Y'all be easy.
It was awesome.
For real, man. Thank you guys again.
Bye, everyone.
What you just witnessed was our Black Lives Matter spoken word cipher, and as you can testify, man, it got real, and it got real really quick, man. Very intense, very triggering topic, I'll say. So I want to say thank you guys for sticking around and just watching what I wanted to put together, man. Like between the talk and between the spoken word cipher and the music, I just feel like there's a message that had to be told when it comes to Black lives. And, you know, this isn't a Juneteenth event. This is just a Black Lives event for the people, for the culture. But I want to make sure that we put it together correctly, man. And with that being said, I need to shout out a few of my people that helped out with putting this together. Main person, shout out DJ Spaceship, man. DJ Spaceship is my brother. He's my co-host with Ignite the Night with Waves of the Bay. Amazing DJ, an amazing father. And, you know, that's my road dog, man. I got to shout him out for helping and doing everything he does. And then with that also being said, I want to shout out everybody that took part in our initial conversation. My co-host D-Rod from Poetry Is, thank you. I want to shout out Jroc Jones, J-Bizzle, and Wally B for being part of the panel. And when it comes to the spoken word cipher that we did with the Black Lives Matter, I got to shout out DeTyme Poet. I want to shout out J Lotus, Blessed Serenity, Scorpio Vision, Dennis Amadeus as well. And then Miss Yvette, thank you for coming through as well, doing your thing. And then I just want to end on on a good note, man. I want to make sure everybody understands that, you know, Kaepernick kneeling isn't disrespect to the flag or disrespect to the soldiers or disrespect to the country. It was just highlighting the discrepancy in how we're treated. Like people treat us as like we're less than human. Like this is not back then. This is 2020. We're not 3/5 of a human anymore. And the accomplishments and the achievements of the African American community and minorities, they have to be recognized. They have to be applauded. And there's not going to be a United States without that input. And I just want to make sure that, you know, with everything that's being said, like, I don't want to make it seem like all cops are bad. Like I said, I know a few good cops. So let me just shout out the cops out there that are actually doing their job, keeping the community safe, upholding the values, upholding the morals, upholding the badge. But for the rest of y'all out there, it is what it is at this point, man. The way I see it, after Ahmaud, every weekend it's been something after the other. So if change was really going to happen, and if these cops understand that what they're doing is not right or there's a different way, it would have happened. But with the spotlight is on them right now, and they're still doing the same stuff They haven't shied away. They haven't quieted down. None of that. They're still doing the exact same things. We're still protesting out here. We're waiting on change. We're tired of waiting. Tired of waiting. Please check out the webpage, www.tone-capone.com. Make sure you guys tune in Saturday nights from 10 till midnight Eastern time, wherever you're at. If you're in Tampa, 88.5 on the FM radio dial. If you're not in Tampa, hit up WM as in Mary, N as in Nancy, F as in Frank.org. And you guys can tune in right there. WMNF.org right there, or else download the WMNF application. If you go to my webpage, it's all right there. You can download the app right there. And then all the replays and interviews and everything will be right there as well. But once again, I just want to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for being a major part of why I do this. Like I said, I want to do something that actually means something, and something that has some type of replay value to it, something that has some type of lasting power to it. And what better way to do that than do something that you have a conviction about, something that you actually have been through and experienced. And, you know, any one of us could have been George Floyd. So the fact that we are still here, we need to do something meaningful. You know, we got to make sure that this means something, that this life that we lead, it impacts somebody, man. Like we got to make sure that we go hard, and then we got to make sure that we do everything we need to do to keep it moving, man. For real. Don't put yourself in bad situations. Try to stay cool as much as possible. Love your family. Embrace life. Carpe diem. Seize the day. And we're going to end it like this, man. I got my little brother, DeTyme Kane, has a song called Sirens. That's so powerful, man. So powerful that we're just going to have to go ahead and end up on this one right here. So let me shout out DeTyme Kane. This one right here is called Sirens. And I will catch you guys on the flip side. # Black Lives Matter. Thank you guys again for checking us out, man. I'm Tone Capone. I spell that with a K. You spell my name with a C, you will not see me. So just make sure you spell my name correctly. Tone-capone.com. That's your boy. Let me show that off right quick. Watch out for sirens. Let's go, DeBron.
The Tulsa footage is just shocking. Hundreds of protesters in downtown Tulsa, Oklahoma yesterday calling for the arrest of Officer Betty Sheldon. She is the police officer who fatally shot 40-year-old Terrence Crutcher. An unarmed African-American man and father of 4.
An officer in the chopper who can't be heard by the officers on the ground makes this observation.
That looks like a bad dude too, to be honest with you.
Seconds later, one officer deploys his taser, another fires her gun.
Oh my God, cop just shot a nigga on the block, claiming he was reaching for a gun, but the man don't even own the Glock. Got his dead body handcuffed. I'm guessing maybe he a zombie too, cause these days if your skin black, then you walking dead till they guy in blue. Police find a reason trying to be like Negan, Billy Clubs turn to Lucille. If the country can't see a crooked cop, it's a problem, tell me who will. Too many believe in the new still, too many is choosing the blue pill. They comfortable up in the matrix, still it hit home, now it's too real. Alvin Sterling, Sandra Bland, Eric Garner, all martyrs. They militarizing the police with the big guns, wearing all armor. Not for our protection, also for repression. Violate our rights, acting not aggression. That's how people fear them coming their direction, cause they learned this lesson. Watch for the sirens. There they go. There they go. Crooked cops shooting, blah, blah, blah. Watch for the sirens. There they go. There they go. Killers on the vets. Blah, blah, blah. It's gonna be a riot. It's gonna be a riot. Everybody looking. Prison getting crowded, so they kill us before we get this session booked. It's gonna be a riot. It's gonna be a riot. Everybody looking. Prison's getting crowded, so they kill us before we get this sexual book. Hands up, don't shoot.
I guess that ain't really saying much, cause Charles Kinsley and Terrence Crutcher was both shot with their hands up. They knock us down when we stand up. One cop killed, it's a manhunt. If I'm unarmed and all 5 of y'all fear for your life, you need to man up. One night I thought cops would go slap me down. 3 days after they shot Michael Brown. Walking to my night job, hit the corner, cops and rifles about to wipe me down. Didn't even put their rifles down. With my hands up, getting on my knees. All I could do was pray not to become a new hashtag, begging Lord please. Wasn't that guy but was really whack. His description and mine really didn't match. Only probable cause they had for stopping me was the fact that I was young and black. I tell you that just to tell you this, they want all of us with shackles on our wrists. This track might make me a target, cause the pigs ain't gon' like this. Watch for the sirens. There they go. There they go. Crooked cops shooting, blah, blah, blah. Watch for the sirens. There they go. There they go. Killers on the back, blah, blah, blah. It's gon' be a riot, it's gon' be a riot. Everybody looking. Prisons getting crowded, so they kill us before we get the central booking. It's gon' be a riot, it's gon' be a riot. Everybody looking. Prisons getting crowded, so they kill us before we get the central booking. Hands up, they gon' shoot. Hands down, they gon' shoot. Hands up, they gon' shoot. Hands down, they gon' shoot. Hands up, they gon' shoot. Hands down, they gon' shoot. Hands up, they gon' shoot. Hands down, they gon' shoot.
Black Lives Matter.